On June 26, inside the bustling departure hall of Hong Kong International Airport, a well-dressed, serious-looking middle-aged man holding a dark red Chinese passport walked toward the final security checkpoint leading to his gate. This man's identity is unusual. His name is Zhang Yadong. He's 57 years old, and he's the former chairman of Greentown China, a subsidiary of China Communications Construction Group. In March of this year, Zhang voluntarily resigned, shocking the Chinese real estate industry. While people speculated about his next move, no one expected it to be his flight destination today, Canada. Zhang knew there were risks in leaving the country, so he did his homework. Following advice from a wise man, he didn't fly directly from mainland China to Vancouver. Instead, he first flew to Hong Kong, then boarded a flight from Hong Kong to Canada. Though he was still a bit nervous, Zhang felt relieved. In theory, entering Hong Kong already counted as leaving the country. The wise man had told him that flying from abroad was no problem. Passing through Hong Kong went smoothly. He glanced out the window at the Boeing 757 parked outside, imagining the luxury homes and beautiful women in Vancouver. He knew that once he boarded that plane, he would be free. Before long, it was his turn. He snapped back to reality, handed over his passport, and the staff began scrutinizing it. Zhang felt like every second dragged on longer than a year. "Are you Zhang Yadong, chairman of Greentown China?" A standard question posed in Mandarin hit him like a train to the chest. What on earth? Why is the Hong Kong airport full of mainland people now? A few staff members in uniform quickly approached him. After about 11 minutes of questioning, Zhang was reluctantly escorted away from the boarding gate. Zhang's background is substantial. Before joining Greentown, he had a long career in government in Dalian, where he held various roles including mayor of Pulandian City in Liaoning Province, head of Dalian's Urban Construction Bureau, deputy mayor of Dalian, and a member of the Standing Committee of the Dalian Municipal Party Committee. In 2016, Zhang was transferred to China Communications Construction Group, a state-owned enterprise. In 2018, he became the executive director and CEO of Greentown China. He led the 300 billion RMB real estate company for nearly 7 years before resigning in March this year. Greentown China is a mixed ownership enterprise with a state-owned enterprise background and is controlled by China Communications Construction Group, CCCC. It is the largest single shareholder of Greentown. By 2024, Greentown's total debt will be close to 400 billion RMB, a 13% increase compared to the previous year, while its profits plummeted by nearly 49%, falling to under 1.6 billion RMB. China Communications Construction Group mainly operates in infrastructure and comprehensive services. It ranked 63rd in the 2024 Fortune Global 500, with annual revenue exceeding 800 billion RMB. It's a giant state-owned enterprise controlling the country's infrastructure backbone. The news that Zhang Yadong was precisely intercepted at the airport was like a nuclear bomb, instantly shaking his parent company, China Communications Construction Group. On June 26, Wang Tongzhou, the former chairman of China Communications Construction Group, was taken away. That evening at 9 p.m., the State-Owned Asset Supervision and Administration Commission quickly convened an emergency meeting at CCCC, announcing major leadership changes within the company. Song Hailiang was appointed as party secretary and chairman, while Zhang Bingnan became the party deputy secretary and general manager. Earlier on June 14th, CCCC had announced that Wang Haihuai, a director and general manager, had taken a leave of absence and his whereabouts were unknown. Former CCCC chairman Liu Qitao and Li Yongqian, the former chairman of the subsidiary CCCC Real Estate, were also both missing. 4 days later, the Central Commission for Discipline Inspection posted a rare article on its website, specifically calling for strict monitoring of escape-style resignations among state-owned enterprise executives. It also issued a warning to create a tight system of safeguards. On July 13th, a new media organization, known for its in-depth analysis of China's macroeconomics, real estate trends, urban development, and overseas investments, published an article discussing why the central government suddenly re-emphasized monitoring escape-style resignations. The signal behind the shift was considered unusual. The article explained that escape-style resignations are when state-owned enterprise executives retire early or resign in order to close the book on their careers. These escape-style resignations include 1. Evasion type. Some leaders have already committed illegal or disciplinary violations during their tenure and seek to land safely by resigning. 2. Option type. Executives work to secure benefits for related parties during their tenure, but delay realizing them, with the agreement that they will cash in after retirement or resignation. In other words, receiving benefits after leaving. 3. Profit-seeking type. Executives build up their benefits before leaving, then take on roles or part-time positions in businesses under their previous jurisdiction, exploiting the situation for personal gain. The article also mentioned that industries such as state-owned enterprises, energy, tobacco, and pharmaceuticals are key sectors with concentrated power, abundant capital, and resources. They offer significant opportunities for rent-seeking, making them fertile ground for corruption. As the backbone of the national economy, state-owned enterprises control large amounts of crucial assets and resources. In reality, some enterprises suffer from problems such as excessive concentration of power in the hands of top executives and inadequate supervision. This leads to corruption, asset embezzlement, and regulatory violations, all of which jeopardize the security of state-owned capital. Former party committee member and vice president of Bank of China's Guizhou branch, Xu Hongzhou, was investigated 7 years after his resignation. He was classified as a typical case of escape-style resignation. Xu had long accepted gifts and bribes, planning his resignation to avoid punishment. After leaving the bank in 2017, he allegedly took positions in companies related to his business and used his power to approve loans and engage in other profitable activities, illegally receiving large amounts of money. Commentators have pointed out that within China's bureaucratic system, those state-owned enterprise officials who choose escape-style resignations may have various motivations beyond just corruption. Taiwanese defense and security researcher Shen Mingshi commented, especially among senior executives in state-owned enterprises, they're more likely to face this issue. When they were promoted to high positions, it was often because they were backed by a particular faction. When different factions start purging, and the leader of the faction they relied on falls, they may feel the need to leave quickly. If they don't leave, they might get caught up in the fallout. One risk is the factional purge. Another is that they may have helped with corruption or participated in illegal activities while their predecessor was in power. So once the leader falls, they may have to take responsibility. Analysts believe that escape-style resignations are a way for bureaucratic parasites to hedge their bets. The increase in these cases is seen as a possible sign of something more significant. One analyst said, the Chinese Communist Party's bureaucracy has always been filled with parasites, but typically those who use escape-style resignations are not top-tier officials. The problem is, if these resignations are becoming more frequent, it signals something unusual. It could be the precursor to an economic or political earthquake. Everyone knows that before an earthquake, small animals can sense the danger early and move away. Even though these corrupt officials aren't at the highest levels, they have a keen sense of the situation in the bureaucracy. From this perspective, China may experience a significant shift in the future. According to reports from Chinese state media, the response to escape-style resignations is to strengthen the full-cycle supervision of departing officials. This includes pre-resignation checks, detailed regulations on officials moving to other organizations after leaving, and strict follow-up monitoring, investigations, and checks after their departure. This means that current or retired executives from state-owned enterprises will face stricter oversight. A video on Douyin depicted the harsh monitoring faced by senior executives in the energy sector after their departure, suggesting that escaping is not so easy anymore.
A senior executive in the rare earth industry resigned, and shortly after, national security came knocking. The resignation letter is just the first step. After that, there's a long confidential period. During this time, the person's phone will be monitored, the computer hard drive will be checked, and even simple conversations with strangers will be recorded. All core personal data has already entered the Ministry of Public Security's system. If there's even a thought of leaving the country, the system will immediately issue a warning. They won't be able to get away.
Some online commentators expressed that the atmosphere in the country is becoming increasingly oppressive, and strangely, as the atmosphere grows more terrifying, more people are looking to escape. Many people in the system no longer wait to be arrested, but are trying to jump ship before things go wrong. Some may wonder, why are these people suddenly panicking? Aren't executives in state-owned enterprises among the most financially stable? The answer is, the illusion of stability has been shattered. In 2024, China's fiscal revenue growth was only 1.3%, down from 6.4% in 2022. Local governments that rely on land sales are even worse off, with land transfer fees plummeting by 16%. Some provinces like Henan, Guizhou, and Heilongjiang have seen annual declines of over 30%. State-owned enterprises and central enterprises are the last pillars of China's fiscal system, yet they're now deeply mired in debt. At the end of June 2025, the total debt of China's top 100 central enterprises has surpassed 40 trillion RMB, a 6.5% year-on-year increase. Among them, transportation, energy, and real estate companies have seen the fastest debt growth, which is exactly what the Central Commission for Discipline Inspection highlighted in its recent article. With the collapse of China's fiscal pillars, many employees in the lower and middle levels of state-owned enterprises are already feeling the chill. Recently, a new policy has been introduced that has come as a shock to many civil servants. The CCDI, along with Hunan Daily, publicly encouraged struggling public servants to take up side jobs like food delivery, driving for ride-hailing services, writing novels, or even becoming fitness instructors in their spare time. This statement quickly sparked heated discussions online. One person shared, "A friend called for a ride, and the driver turned out to be a civil servant." Netizens remarked, "Life isn't easy for civil servants anymore. From once having an iron rice bowl to now working side gigs. Being employed in the system is no longer a guaranteed safe choice." The general consensus is that this is not just a shrinking of personal incomes, but also a symptom of the combined crises of local government finances, real estate collapse, and a nationwide employment downturn. According to reports from think tanks like Anbang, civil servants in Zhejiang, Jiangsu, Fujian, Shanghai, Guangdong, and other areas have generally faced salary cuts ranging from 15% to 40%. For example, in Shanghai, the annual salary of mid-level officials dropped from 350,000 RMB to 200,000 RMB, while in Hangzhou, some institutions slashed salaries by as much as 40%. In even worse cases, some civil servants haven't received their salaries for months and have been relying on savings and loans to get by. At the same time, a wave of layoffs is sweeping across the country. Over 400 counties and cities in Shanxi, Anhui, and Qinghai have begun institutional reforms, cutting the number of government departments in half. Even central government agencies are planning to reduce their staff by 5%. This is the first time in China's history that the idea of reducing the civil servant workforce has been formally proposed. The Communist Party has also rolled out regulations to enforce austerity, including restrictions on air conditioning temperatures and downgrading official reception. All signs of financial strain. Analysts say that the so-called institutional faith of the Chinese Communist Party has already collapsed. Ordinary people have been desperately trying to get into the system because the worsening economic environment leaves them with no other options. If civil servants lose their security too, the system will soon face disintegration. Who would continue to work for a system that no longer provides faith or guarantees? For senior executives in state-owned enterprises and central enterprises, as well as officials within the system, economic issues are secondary. Most of them have already accumulated enough wealth, so their primary focus is on how to acquire more money within the effective period of their power, and how to smoothly transfer their wealth and families to safety. The problem is, in recent years, the domestic political situation has become increasingly perilous for them, forcing them to lower their expectations and goals. Former Chinese Communist Party official from Inner Mongolia and current commentator recently revealed that the CCP's anti-corruption campaign has escalated into a form of family guilt purges. Not only are the officials themselves being investigated, but also their parents, spouses, children, siblings, and even in-laws. Some children are still studying. Even overseas students are taken as soon as they land, interrupting their studies and limiting their ability to travel abroad. In some cases, family members have died while under detention. Du Wen pointed out that in the past, over 80% of corruption cases were linked to family members, but this has now expanded to 120%. Previously, when one person rises, the whole family rises, but now when one falls, the whole family falls. He believes that in a time of economic decline, the CCP's anti-corruption campaign resembles a siphoning off wealth, using the guise of anti-corruption to extract wealth from officials' families. He also revealed details of the CCP's anti-corruption detention process. The rooms are sealed with lights on 24 hours a day, with soft walls, armed police rotating shifts, and constant recording. Investigators often use insults, threats, or even detain an 80-year-old mother or 12-year-old child to apply pressure, causing mental breakdowns. Many detainees cannot withstand the interrogation and may not survive the detention. Even officials with clean reputations find it hard to endure this process. Du Wen said that officials' passports are commonly confiscated, and public servants face restrictions on leaving the country. Some netizens have said that in recent years, the CCP has used anti-corruption campaigns to purge many officials. The rumors surrounding the assassination of former Premier Li Keqiang have left executives and government officials terrified, as they feel that even top officials in power can be eliminated at any time. Think about these officials who have climbed to high positions. How many of them haven't been involved in dirty work, and how many have incriminating evidence in the hands of political rivals? The continuous exposure of terrifying information about national-level officials has shattered their last psychological defenses, solidifying their determination to flee. Once the conditions are ripe or they feel the danger, they will not hesitate to escape. Recently, the shocking details surrounding the fall of only made them more fearful. Since being removed from his position as China's foreign minister in July 2023, Qin Gang has not been seen publicly, sparking widespread speculation. Recently, new reports have emerged suggesting that Qin Gang was unable to endure the 3 major tortures and was accidentally killed during interrogation. According to the social media platform Youliao, Qin Gong's incident occurred when he was being held for isolated interrogation. The platform revealed that since Wang Qishan took over the Central Committee for Discipline Inspection after the 18th Party Congress, officials under investigation no longer received special treatment, such as access to newspapers or tea, as they did during the time of Bo Xilai. Instead, under Wang Qishan, the three major tortures and black and white impermanence were introduced, brutal methods that treated the detainees as less than human. The three major tortures are described as sitting on an airplane, eating ramen, and gnawing on steamed buns. Clearly, these names are euphemisms. According to You Liao, even high-ranking officials who once enjoyed great power could not endure these methods and collapsed almost immediately. Qin Gong, unfortunately, could not withstand these brutal interrogations. The black and white impermanence refers to being locked in a completely dark room with no light, then being subjected to intense flashing bright light from incandescent bulbs. One moment it's pitch black, and the next a blinding flash. Due to the extreme cruelty of these tortures, You Liao refrains from describing the three main tortures in detail. You Liao further claims that most officials cannot withstand these tortures, and Qin Gong was no exception. The interrogators accidentally killed him in the process. The news of his death was highly sensitive, and after the incident, no further details were released, only with a brief message indicating that he did not survive. Additionally, Liao revealed that the officials conducting the isolated interrogations were frequently rotated, and once assigned, all electronic devices are confiscated. Before going to interrogate, they don't know the identity of the person being held or investigated, making the process highly secretive. It is said that Qin Gong's death marked a turning point, and since then, no further interrogations of officials at the ministerial level or above have included torture. As of now, no official statement has been released regarding Qin Gong's situation. There have been various speculations about his disappearance, one of which suggests that Qin Gong had an affair with a well-known television host, Fu Xiaotian. Some rumors indicate that Fu Xiaotian was suspected of leaking confidential information to foreign forces, but this has not been confirmed. Like Qin Gong, Fu Xiaotian has also disappeared from the public eye. On September 8, 2024, The Washington Post cited two former U.S. officials, saying that Qin Gong was assigned to a low-level position at a publishing house under the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. However, staff members at the publishing house claimed that they were unaware of Qin Gong's employment there. Later, Hong Kong newspaper Mingpao quoted Beijing sources, stating that the publishing house had a staff member with the same name as Qin Gong. Independent commentator Cai Shen-kun later revealed that he received information from Qin Gong's friends, stating that he was tortured to death in 2023, and now all the information is unreliable. He argued that the Washington Post's report only made things worse, and the CCP has been using various methods to leak information to prove that Qin Gong is not dead. However, Cai pointed out, if that's the case, why doesn't the CCP just let him appear in public? To this day, the question of whether Qin Gong is alive or dead remains a mystery, and despite widespread speculation, the CCP has not issued any clarification. Senior journalist He Liangmao previously stated that to resolve the public's doubts about Qin Gong, the CCP only needs to let him appear in public. He believes the CCP hasn't done so because Qin Gong is no longer alive. Some netizens commented that the CCP is a sinking ship, and if officials don't jump off now, it'll be too late. Zhang Yadong, who was intercepted at Hong Kong airport and failed to escape, was seen as someone who, despite his high position, lacked sufficient understanding of the CCP. He naively trusted the advice of a so-called wise man and believed he could exit through Hong Kong, not realizing that Hong Kong had long ceased to be the same as before. It had become just like mainland cities, with very little difference. Moreover, since his resignation, Zhang had been under full surveillance. His phone and computer were used to leak sensitive information to the Ministry of State Security. In order to escape China, he would have to have severed all communications, abandon his electronic devices, and sneak into countries like Vietnam or Laos, from where he could then fly to Canada. This might have been a successful escape route. Unfortunately, Zhang lacked this awareness. Despite his high-ranking position in business, he didn't pay much attention to overseas information. The brainwashing propaganda within China made him believe that once he reached Hong Kong, he was safely out of the country.